Ahead this morning, hiding threats. A school district in hot water accused of hiding a student's manifesto to attack the school. A Wisconsin school district facing serious backlash after a student's manifesto was hidden from families for months. Joining us this morning to discuss is Parents Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi. Good morning to you. Happy Friday. So,
hi, Jan. As
I understand it, this Wisconsin school district failed to notify families of this student's written manifesto that detailed a plan to carry out, quote, the next Columbine. Now, this happened at a middle school. What did you make of all this?
So, this is a strange story because quite a few things were done very well. A teacher had concerns about things that she discovered about searches that the student was making on the Chromebook. She alerts law enforcement, who gets involved, and then, they push further. They interview the student. They get their hands on a notebook that he's been writing, and I actually don't know if it's a boy or a girl, to be honest. The student's been writing in, and they discovered that there are major red flags here. The problem is that the school district didn't alert the public or any parents. And so the reason that now there's so much outrage is that 5 months went by, and the only reason that they've now notified parents is because, a conservative influencer with a massive platform got his hands on all of these documents, including the police report, and the district has no choice now but to alert parents. So parents are really upset, saying, you've known this happened for 5 months and you didn't tell us anything.
So did the school try to cover this up?
I mean, in schools, there is a very natural tension between privacy and transparency. And it is true that they have to protect the privacy of students, even the students, who do terrible things and get into trouble. But all of us know that our schools send us emails all the time. You may hear there was an incident, there was an ambulance, a police car, your child collided with somebody in PE. They're constantly notifying us of things without ever violating privacy. And they made a deliberate decision here not to notify, which I think is a big problem.
At what point, though, can you call this a privacy issue? At what point do you relinquish your right to privacy when threats are made?
Well, I am not an attorney, and clearly I feel like often the common sense on this doesn't always align with the law. I was talking about this with my husband last night. So what duty does the school have legally versus what duty does the school have ethically, because they are a public entity funded with public money and because parents certainly have a right to know.
Right. Taxpayer dollars. That's right. That's right. And so, it wasn't until this week, as you mentioned, 5 months later, parents were informed of this incident. The district did release a notice saying, quote, that no students were ever at risk or in harm's way. As a parent, what was your response to this?
I mean, I feel like, again, that's kind of what all these emails always say, right? When you get an email that something happened, they promise you that everything was fine. And it may be true that because they caught this student way before they actually did anything, it may be true that nobody was at risk. But again, if they were able to send out that email the other night because they knew they were about to get, blown up on social media, they could have sent it out when it happened, and then they would be avoiding. Because right now, not only do they have to deal with the fallout of people finding out what this student was planning or allegedly planning, they also have to deal with the fallout about the fact that they deceived families and the public for 5 months.
Yeah, and I was reading, too, that, as you mentioned, that a lot of things did go right in this particular instance because this investigation was prompted after that school employee alerted police. They noticed some weird things happening and some concerning searches on the student's school-issued laptops, so they alerted authorities on this. But it does beg the question, how many other plots have been stopped in our public schools? How many other incidents have not been reported publicly in the name of transparency and privacy? How can parents hold schools accountable to make sure 5 months or even 5 days does not go by without knowledge of something like this, do you think?
I mean, I certainly think that demands for transparency, and again, not screaming, yelling, swearing, but just, really fair and honest conversations about transparency, not only because it's the right thing to do, but as a public institution, they have to do it, but also understanding the privacy concerns. And I've seen these kind of things blow up in schools before, and it is true. Everybody wants to know what happened, who was it, names, et cetera. Clearly, schools can't give that out. I think that, again, like sometimes it means you have to start voting in new people on your school boards, and sometimes there need to be resignations because people in positions of leadership really kind of just show that when push comes to shove, they're just not up to the job. I don't know if that's the case in this particular district or not, but I suspect it's probably, you know, something that's being discussed.
Parents Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi. Great to see you as always. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us.
You too. Thanks, Jan.